Let's jump to some domestic news with a tweet from Patrick Bet David, who says it's official. Chris Cuomo and Dave Smith have agreed to do a sit down with a live audience. PBD podcast, May 31st at 6 p.m. And the hiring of Chris Cuomo, I believe he officially works for PBD. I don't want to get that wrong, but I believe he's like officially a part of their crew, whatever, has been contentious. And there's some e-drama, but I think there's an interesting question around the hiring of Cuomo and what you guys think. But we'll start from the beginning here. When it was announced that PBD hired Chris Cuomo, I said, I think this is a massive mistake. This is a guy who went on his show on CNN, mocked people for eating horse paste, joked about COVID with gigantic oversized Q-tips. His brother was putting sick people in nursing homes, resulting in an estimated 15 to 18,000 dead. Blamed Trump, said, well, Trump said this. Not even true. Numerous outlets fact-checked this. And it's funny because normally I'm not a big fan of the corporate press, but it was so ubiquitous in the press that Trump never said to put sick patients in nursing homes. But we saw many Democrat governors do this, and just Democrat governors. Here's a guy now who apparently has gone on, I think he was on PBD, I'm not sure where he was on, saying that he's actually suffering from side effects or some kind of, some kind of side effect or long, I don't know what something like that. And he's taking ivermectin now. Now, I certainly do believe in redemption, but it is tough for me because Chris Cuomo was such an egregious actor as a component of CNN. I wonder, what is the purpose of trying to rehabilitate a guy with no following, who offers up nothing other than he would sell you to your death during the lockdowns? I don't quite understand why they brought him on. Now, Patrick Bet David had said he wants to, be more neutral and bring in the other side. My rebuttal is Chris Cuomo doesn't represent the other side. Nope. He was a corporate employee of a news outlet. He did not have a big following. There's no Chris Cuomo big fan base. His viewership on News Nation is relatively low. This idea, so perhaps it's just an oversight on PBD's part, or that's what he truly thinks, and I'm wrong, and that's fine. And I will lightly address the earlier tweet controversy, which is actually quite hilarious. I didn't know Patrick Bet David was mad, but I actually got asked to do this debate. So I don't know exactly how it happened. I was contacted by a company that does PR work for us, and they asked me if I would debate Chris Cuomo on PBD's show Saturday morning. And I said, it's impossible because we do a live show Friday night. And there's no flights. Like if we left the show Friday night, I get to the airport at 11, best case scenario, 11:30. And then if there's no flights to Miami. So the only way we could do a Saturday morning show is if I got a private jet. I don't know if that's something they can do. And then I hear back from this PR company saying, they said, what about doing a Saturday night debate with Cuomo? And I was like, look, I'd love to sit down and do this conversation, because I was like, I tweeted these two questions. What do you think your son learned from you when he watched you emerge from your basement after faking being in COVID lockdown? Do you think he learned more from you, or do you think he'll take more after your brother who murdered people and then tried to blame it on Trump? I'd love to sit down with this guy. But doing a Saturday night show, I said, well, that would mean wrap the show, go to bed, wake up. Then it's packing, travel to the airport, hour, commercial flight, 3.5 hours, plus an hour each way in the airport. So hour to the airport, hour wait in the airport, security, all that stuff. 3.5 hour flight, hour from the airport to the destination to arrive just in time for a podcast, do the debate, go to sleep, wake up, same routine on the plane. And I was like, the challenge is by the time I get back Sunday, I have done 14 hours of airline travel in 2 days, and then I have to record a show on Monday morning. I don't think I can do it. So unless we can do a private jet, it's not possible. And then I guess PBD got offended. I don't know if he knew the full context or whatever. And I responded, someone asked, why don't we do this? I said, actually, I turned it down. And that's not to imply there's anything wrong with their debate. I was upset about their debate, or that I was like, how dare you? I refused to do it. I was just like, yeah, I said I couldn't do it. And PBD tweeted at me, got mad. And I think he may have misinterpreted my tweet as to imply something negative about his debate. Whereas my point was simply, we'd love to have Chris Cuomo here. I would love to see Dave Smith rag on him. I think this is going to be epic. Dave Smith is a way better choice than me. And I was unable to do it because of scheduling constraints. And so there's that. Now that that's been addressed, the big question is there a redemption arc for someone like Chris Cuomo, knowing everything we know about what he said? He's the guy who went on CNN and said, who said protests should be peaceful, need to be peaceful. While people were burning down police stations. People died A retired police captain, David Dorn, was shot and killed during these riots. And Cuomo goes on TV and says, who says they have to be peaceful? I'm like, dude, people are being murdered. Small businesses have put up things in their windows saying, please don't hurt us. Is there a redemption for this guy?
Only if he admits he was wrong. If he admits he was wrong and admits, even in this debate, that he made a lot of egregious statements in the heat of emotion during COVID, or he was listening to his corporate overlords and he was just following orders and now he realizes it was a mistake, or he shouldn't have backed his brother, but family ties, he just had to. Like, if you admit you were wrong, then yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear you talk and let's hear what you have to say. And I will even give you a fraction of the benefit of the doubt that you might be genuine. But the fact that he's papering over it like he never made those comments shows me that he's a total fraud. There's zero redemption arc for someone like this who's not willing to admit. They just want to gaslight you to believe they never said these things in the first place. And by the way, he's not the only one. There are tons of people asking for COVID redemption. We didn't know. It's like, no, we knew, and we were quieted, silenced. I mean, I knew.
Look at the mask flip-flopping.
Yep.
And the lockdown.
Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine.
There's so much mask flip-flopping, but there's the lockdown flip-flopping, I think, is the hilarious element of it. Democrat politicians being like, I never said we should force businesses to lock down, and then Defiant L's on Twitter will post them
the video reels.
Or it's like two tweets where one's like, it is important that every business shut down whether they believe they should or not because we're all in this together, and then a year later, like, I never said that. I suppose the question I have, or I suppose my feeling on the issue is, I talked about Joey Salads a while ago. He's not really been, in the limelight these past few years, but his big thing was several years ago, he filmed a fake video where he put a car in a parking lot with like Trump stuff inside of it and then hired black dudes to destroy it. And he made a video where he's like, what'll happen if I leave a car in this neighborhood with all this Trump stuff on it? And then faked it and someone caught him doing it. I insulted him. I said, screw you. You're fake news. You're a liar. You're a bad guy. And then I thought about it. He had a lot of fans. And I was like, if this guy has a big following and he has no redemption opportunities, the only direction he can go is toward the darkness. So if we say, I accept your apology, do better, welcome to the right side.
Absolutely.
Then you bring someone into the fold. That being said, I don't know if Chris Cuomo is redeemable in that regard. Joey Salads was a guy who was just like, this video makes me views, and was kind of bumbling about and just getting wrapped up in chasing algorithms and making fake videos. Chris Cuomo is a guy who knowingly goes on a show every night for years and just does what he's told. My concern is in the difference, and maybe there's not a big enough difference. Maybe it is fair to say Cuomo deserves redemption or Joey didn't, or whatever it is. My concern is that Chris Cuomo doesn't care at all, doesn't feel any remorse. He's simply saying, this boat is sinking. I better jump to the one to my left. Or in this instance, to his right. And now he's trying to make it seem like I'm on your side, guys. Someone posted a meme of him, the Steve Buscemi thing, where he's got the skateboard from 30 Rock. And it was Chris Cuomo saying, how do you do, fellow conservatives?
Funny.
It's pretty clear that he's just trying to save his own neck, or he's doing what he can to save his career. I mean, I don't think that, well, okay, I can't speak for anyone else, but I never expected a whole lot of integrity out of people from CNN, or I haven't expected a lot of integrity out of them. The behavior isn't a surprise. Nobody should be surprised. I'm not surprised that he's got another job in the media, because at the end of the day, it's clicks that people are looking for nowadays. And I think that even if he is getting hate clicks, if he's the guy that people hate on PBD's channel, then
you can make money off of being
clicks
a villain.
or clicks, absolutely. So, he's going to do what he needs to do to try and, pay his bills and make sure that he can,
This is something that Ian brought up, which is a really good point, because we talk about Chris Cuomo faking the quarantine. I mean, that is like, holy crap, above and beyond. And the story, for those not familiar, is Cuomo was on CNN every night being like, I'm here in quarantine, look at me, I've been working out, I'm sweaty. And then he goes on his radio show and says, some guy with a fat tire bike is talking to me. Don't you talk to me? Which kind of exposed him as admitting he had traveled out of quarantine. Some guy riding his bike saw him and said, aren't you supposed to be in quarantine? You're on TV every night. And Cuomo starts yelling at him, basically admits it, proves the story's real. Ian points out, we talked about how on CNN he emerges from the basement It's nuts. I think it was even like Nate Silver was like, it is insane that CNN thought they could pull that off when everyone knew how big the story was, that he had that he was out of quarantine. Ian pointed out, as he's walking up, his son is sitting there watching him do it. Think about what you tell your child when you're like, I'm now going to go on TV. We're going to blast this message out to a couple hundred people that are watching CNN. I'm being a dick, but your kid watches you lie to the world. And I wonder if his kid asked him, like, Dad, that's not true. Why did you say that? Or if his kid just says lying is okay. We should be liars.
That's the lesson he's learning, certainly. I mean, I think, somebody can be really a candidate for a beautiful redemption story, and that doesn't mean you ever put them on TV again. So, there are lots of criminals, and by the way, I do think Chris Cuomo is a criminal. I mean that full-heartedly. Mm-hmm. His rhetoric led to people probably withholding treatment from themselves that could have made them better because they were afraid of looking like a lunatic that took horse pills.
Well, I want to mention specifically is the people who died during the Summer of Love riots.
Yes.
We had someone...
David Dorn's a perfect example.
And he's the guy on TV saying, he's the guy on TV saying, who says these protests have to be peaceful?
Yep.
I think most importantly is the whole debate at the time, especially around the medical stuff, and there was this twofold scenario where they would go on TV and tell you what to do or not to do. And this is the remarkable thing, be it Fauci, be it Cuomo, be it Anderson Cooper, any one of these people on the corporate press, celebrities would tell you what medical treatment you should get despite not being doctors. And if anyone else said something comparable, you'd be banned, you'd be censored, you'd be shut down. So I have no problem saying this, and to all of our friends at YouTube, we're not doctors. We're not here to give medical advice. I don't know. Don't look at me. But Chris Cuomo, he can go on CNN, Anderson Cooper, they can go on CNN and give medical advice all day, every day, mock you. The thing about ivermectin specifically is that doctors actually prescribed it. Now, I assume they must be crazy doctors because YouTube says you're not allowed to do that. Well, I don't know. I just tell people go talk to your doctor. We're not medical experts here, but Chris Cuomo mocked people. Now, the crazy thing about it, and the worst part about what he did is, you can get prescribed it if you have worms.
Yes, it's one of the most commonly used medicines in all of Africa.
There was a Nobel
Peace
Award
Prize.
over
Yes.
it. Not a Peace Prize,
but a
Nobel
Nobel Prize for the development of the medicine from the guy who actually created it.
Yeah.
Remember what they did to Joe Rogan? I think it was CNN, right?
Yeah.
They made him look pale and weird and sickly.
Yellow and gangrene looking.
Yo, that is so
They're
out.
super ethical.
So anyway,
so gross.
not to get into all that. I guess the big question is that I see a lot of people are on Twitter up in arms about. There are a lot of people who I think are actually good, are cool with Cuomo being brought onto the PBD network and all that stuff. And there are a lot of people that are basically saying he's going full CNN by pulling him in. I don't know.
It seems to me like if you want redemption, you have to be honest about what happened, right? Mm-hmm. Like you'd have to acknowledge, like, yes, I said these things. Yes, like I faked being quarantined or whatever the problem is. And then, walk everyone through how we got to the other end. Otherwise, it just seems like, well, I was getting paid to do one thing and they're not paying me anymore, so I'm going to do the other thing. And that's obviously what's disingenuous. I don't follow a ton of Chris Cuomo's content. I don't know if someone has directly asked him about these things. I don't think so. But until he has openly addressed the controversy, I don't think that there is a way that he could seem trustworthy to most Americans. He'll always have the same bias.
Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't watch his stuff, so I'll give it that much.
He doubled down on a lot with Tucker in that interview. Like he's still got his. And by the way, I believe in these redemption arc stories. Even you talk about like accepting those folks that have kind of reformed in their thinking and come into the movement and been like, dang, I was wrong. And they detail the path because we've all been wrong on stuff.
To other people,
it can be amazing. I think of a perfect example. I'm a big fan of Tulsi Gabbard. 10 years ago, most of what Tulsi Gabbard said probably would have repulsed me. Today, though, and I've witnessed over the last decade, like the way that she's become a leader in the movement for human liberties and flourishing in our country, and especially with her position in the military, now speaking out against all this foreign aid, trying to protect our borders. Like, she has proven and put the time in over the years that she really is for this movement. Chris Cuomo just arose 2 years later and is like, now I'm going to act like I still deserve a position of authority in your life, and I did nothing to earn it.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.